Bienvenidos, Fright fans. Welcome to the horror show. I'm Jaime Fuego.
I'm Cecil Laird.
And we are getting together to talk about writer-director Mike P. Nelson's wacky kind of post-apocalyptic film, The Domestics.
Boom.
With Tyler Hoechlin, I want to say.
Hoechlin, something like that.
Hoechlin, well, Hoechlin. And then also Kate Bosworth, who I've seen in a bunch of stuff too. I did not walk into this film expecting much, and
I didn't walk into this movie at all.
Okay, I walked over to the Redbox and I got it with a promo discount and only spent a very small fraction.
I don't think there was a theatrical release for this.
I'm not sure if it was limited or if it just went straight VOD.
Maybe I did see a poster in the theater for it. Maybe it was limited.
We have been seeing this it's an interesting take that a lot of these lower budget horror films that have some bigger talent acting wise in them, they'll do a very limited theatrical run, maybe at a theater or two in town, which usually for us means we have to go to either the art house studio, or we have to go to, sometimes Arizona Mills will have it. They had stuff like Train to Busan and some of these smaller budget things, but lo and behold, if it was in theaters, it was barely there, and then it was right on VOD afterwards. We're talking The Domestics, and Bosworth and the Tyler Hoechlin dude, you said he was on Teen Wolf, right?
He was the pack leader on Teen Wolf before he left the show, and then...
Well, he was in Everybody Wants Some, which was the Richard Linklater movie, the spiritual sequel to Dazed and Confused. He was great in that.
And most recently, he plays Superman on Supergirl.
He looks like a good Superman. He looks like he could step in the role and be... I know he's going to be rocking the black suit.
He's
in the
too
weird
cool
Elves
for
world.
me to be Superman because he was so badass in Teen Wolf.
So it's like he's toning it back a little bit.
He's dialing his coolness back, and it's like, oh, bro.
Well, he's got some coolness in this, and essentially, to give a little bit of plot detail and all that stuff.
Real quick before we do that, overall
do we
thoughts?
Like it? I enjoyed this way more than I was expecting
Me too.
to. I really liked it, and the chemistry between the two lead characters I thought was spot on.
And it cruised.
Yeah.
It did not really slow down very much.
No, not at all. And a point that you made to me after we both watched it that I thought was interesting is you were like, this could have been stretched into something a lot bigger. It could have been a few films. It could have been, because there's real tense beat after beat that I honestly
every act
felt like
it could have been its own movie.
Yeah, or it could have been an episodic 8 or 10 episode series.
True.
And I think that would have been awesome too, because the concept is one that we've all seen before, where there's chemicals and they get blanketed on the United States and there's only a few survivors left.
It's the most extreme version of what is it, the thing that the planes spray, the conspiracy theory, contrails.
Yeah,
it's chemtrails.
Chemtrails.
That's
I was going to say, didn't Steve make a movie about that?
Yeah, he's making a movie about it.
Yeah.
Some people consider it conspiracy theory, some people don't. But basically, that's what they use. They use ridiculously potent chemtrails to decimate most of the world's population, and now it's a post-apocalyptic society.
Yeah, so it's got some similarities to Mad Max and Doomsday and things like that. But I don't know. This had its own flavor because of the fact that it pretty much took place in the suburbs, and our two lead characters who are, they're still technically married, but they were pretty much, a small detail, there's friction in the marriage without spoiling anything.
Right.
And it's basically, as they're trying to get from point A to point B, which is Bosworth's character wants to get to her parents, who she's lost contact with, and so... it's a very dangerous road for them to go down because there's all these weird gangs and factions and stuff that populate and will try to attack you. They're trying to make their way to Milwaukee, and they encounter place after place where, everything from cannibals to murderous crazoids to... One thing that I found
nice
really...
family people.
Yeah, really. Oh, yeah, I know, right? But the twist to that, I knew there was going to be something.
There had to be.
There had to be, man.
But still, it was so oh, man.
Nonchalant.
So cool, yeah.
Totally nonchalant, man. And then there's also a scene in particular that I felt was a big homage of sorts to Pulp Fiction, and one scene in particular, which I enjoyed. So yeah, you were definitely right about... I could see... more stories being told in this universe, and they leave it open enough with some of the characters without spoiling anything. But yeah, bottom line, I enjoyed the hell out of the film as a whole. Performances were good.
Definitely, yeah.
Story was a lot of things we've seen before, but it was executed well, and there is an aspect of both heart and fun to this film. And music actually played a big big role in it too,
Yeah,
which
definitely.
we will get to.
But yeah, to start off, the acting was. I mean, I enjoyed the story. I did think it was a little too jam packed. I felt like you explained, it could have been stretched out a bit further. But because it's so jam packed, that's what I was saying. It moves so quickly because it goes from thing to thing to thing, and you're just like, oh my goodness, they can't catch a break. But it's still entertaining to watch for sure. The acting, Kate Bosworth, I'm not normally a huge fan of, but I thought she did a good job here.
She gets badass,
making a transition. Yeah,
because there's some role reversal stuff that goes down, and there's one scene with getting shot in particular that I found really ironic and interesting, with characters suffering the same affliction, and then just the flipping the script kind of thing. And, yeah. And
then all of the bad factions were like appropriately presented as bad, and so all the acting there was good. There was,
and that's where you really get the Mad Max vibe, is in the
Mad Max vibe, right? Not knowing exactly where everyone stands entirely. And again, the
costuming was crazy on some of those.
The costuming was crazy. Yeah, that's definitely something worth making note of. But the other actor that was big in this, that was kind of the family man, was the actor who was in Fringe as the captain. He's a really good actor. He's been in a lot of other things at this point as well. A lot of people confuse him with the guy that does the Allstate commercials, but it's the other really deep voiced black guy. But anyway, he's really tremendous in this. You see in the trailer, if you watch the trailer, he's like, they're in the middle of getting tracked by these factions, and he's just like, I just want to know if you guys would like to come over for dinner. It's like, it's really cool.
The whole scene in the grocery store where they're trying to raid, and there's people shooting it. This movie is violent. It moves. I mean, even all of the performances of the villainous peeps and stuff. The one that's trailing them at a particular point. We also, gosh, I cannot remember the name of the actor, but he only pops up in one scene, and it's that Pulp Fiction homage scene that I liked so much. He plays like the Russian. This is the work of gypsies in Ant-Man. He was also that actor. He's been in a ton of stuff lately. He was in The Dark Knight. He's the weird character played. I
know his name because Kevin Smith interviewed him.
Oh yeah, and he was actually a really interesting interview. And so the scene that he pops up in. I mean, since it moves so briskly and you see all these different factions, and also the silent Asian girl who was like bloodthirsty as hell. I thought she did a hell of a job also, just conveying emotion and stuff, without really saying much of anything throughout the entirety of it. And I thought all the performances were good, despite the fact that maybe the script was a lot of things that we've seen before, but the chemistry between the two leads and the dynamic of their relationship, and just how it's fractured, and then they're trying to work things out, but you're not sure if they're going to. That stuff really spoke to me, man. And I mean, the scene where Bosworth is like rocking out to like the metal punk music, and drinking, and she's like just kind of the exuberance and stuff. I don't know. I just really like this movie.
Yeah, it ended up pretty good. Let's talk about the effects, though. The effects were all good. I mean, there was a lot of
this movie was pretty violent, too, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, which I appreciated.
Yeah, gore is there for sure. And it was just a good time, and the effects were convincing and not crazy. It wasn't so over the top that it felt like Mad Max Fury Road, but it did feel like it was enough of an apocalyptic situation.
Especially where they went to that huge hotel, and they're like checking in the guns and everything, and then they're forced into the chicken situation. Like,
that was great.
That was really cool, actually. And,
the Russian roulette, except with the stakes raised even higher.
If
they can be,
husband
which
against
they were.
wife and stuff, and I mean, set design. You could tell that they were working on a limited budget, but they were creative with the attire of everybody, with the weird vehicles and stuff that they were driving around, and even like the layout of the booby traps once they finally get to their destination and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I know some big vehicle is going to get blown up with this booby trap. And
I'm surprised it didn't have a bigger release, honestly.
Yeah,
because it needs to get a little more heat to it. I think more people need to see it. So.
I definitely agree. And if we're gonna just mention music real quick, we don't always do it in these, but music played a heavy part, especially with some of the throwback like doo-wop-y kind of 50s love songs and stuff that perpetuate this and kind of work as a thread for their relationship and how they still love and care about each other. And also the whole punk rock dancing around and stuff that I mentioned earlier. So the music is all over the place, but it plays at there's basically a guy on the radio throughout the entirety of it, like giving warnings and things like that, talking and updates, which it's actually very similar to what's going on in the Fireman with Joe Hill right now. But yeah, I just liked how music almost was a character in and of itself in this too.
Yeah,
it was cool. So.
Indeed. So all in all, definitely a movie you guys need to check out if you haven't yet. It's definitely worth your time. It's not all the way horror. It's sort of horror thriller
more like
mix,
action,
but action thriller, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's still very enjoyable, and horror fans would still get enough out of it that it would be worth your time to watch it for sure.
Oh yeah.
So if you guys have seen it, let us know in the comments down below. I'd like to know your guys' opinion. If you haven't seen it, did this review push you more towards wanting to see it? I want to know if we're being effective or if it's going in one ear and out the other. I don't know.
It's at the red boxes.
Yeah, it's not hard to get a hold of. So go grab yourself a copy and report back and let us know what you thought of it afterwards.
Yeah.
While you're down there, click the link in the description box for our Patreon if you want to help support the channel more directly. You can also choose content for us to do on the channel depending on what tier you select.
Tell us what to do.
Exactly. Thank you guys very much for watching. I've been Cecil Laird.
Gracias, I've been Jaime Fuego.
Remember, stay scared.